Hi everyone, this is eSpanish Teacher here with some quick comments for those of you who are considering Rosetta Stone software to help you learn the Spanish language. For those of you wanting to learn how to speak Spanish, there are a lot of options out there. But here are the 5 reasons that I do not recommend Rosetta Stone software to people who want to learn to speak Spanish. Reason number 5. Word associations simply don't work. Everybody watching this is probably familiar with flashcards, right? You may have used flashcards when you were in grade school and you were trying to memorize your times tables, or you were working to memorize the capitals of the 50 United States. Basically what it is I show you a picture and then you're supposed to associate that picture with a piece of information. So if I show you the image of the state of Florida, you're supposed to remember that the capital of Florida is Tallahassee. Similarly, when learning to speak a language, I could show you a picture of a cat, and you're supposed to remember that the word for cat in Spanish is el gato. So I show you a picture, and then you are supposed to associate that picture with a piece of information that's inside your brain somewhere. Now, that exercise is effective to a certain point, but Rosetta Stone takes that exercise and puts it on steroids. So a major part of their curriculum is based on word association. There's a point when they may show you a picture of a cat underneath a table, and you're supposed to be able to remember how to say the cat is underneath the table, or in Spanish, el gato está abajo de la mesa. And if you can say that, then you're doing it correctly. Well, that type of exercise is not effective for beginner students learning to speak the language. It simply doesn't work. Reason number 4. Rosetta Stone claims they can teach you to speak Spanish in the very same way you learned how to speak your first language. And I have a really hard time with this, and I can't believe that they're trying to push this over on people and get people to believe that you can actually learn a language the way a baby would. When we're adults, we like to have an organization to our learning. We like to have a structure. Adults prefer to have steps, a step-by-step approach to learning Spanish. We like to have a set of rules that we can build on, that we can test. We like to be able to interact with our teacher and ask questions and get answers and take notes and then apply what we've learned. And babies really don't do that. They hear a lot of words and the muscles in their mouths are not developed very well early on, and so they use a lot of trial and error trying to mimic what they see and what they hear. But adults are very, very different. Let's move on to reason number 3. Reason number 3 is simple. Rosetta Stone's language learning courses are too expensive. The level 1 Spanish course that Rosetta Stone offers will cost you $179. That's way too much to pay, especially for people who are just testing the waters when it comes to learning a second language. A lot of people just want to see if they can grasp a second language or how well they will do. And to spend almost $200 just to test the waters is ridiculous. A much better approach for a student new to the language would be to find an inexpensive course that provides very solid curriculum that's going to help you understand the language structure and also mix in quite a bit of verbal practice so that you can actually have the opportunity to speak Spanish and to just find out if Spanish is right for you. This brings us to reason number 2 that I would not recommend Rosetta Stone software. And that is, Rosetta Stone is a publicly traded company. It has shareholders. And when you're a company that is owned by shareholders, that means that management of the company has a financial or a fiduciary responsibility to increase shareholder wealth, or in other words, to increase the stock price. Sometimes a higher stock price is achieved by improving the product, breaking into new markets and lowering costs, those types of things. But a lot of times, companies will take shortcuts to riches. So it's possible that a company could increase its stock price while creating a product that is of a lesser quality and not as effective. So if you take a close look at the language curriculum and the exercises that make up the courses that Rosetta Stone offers, you'll immediately notice similarities between them. In other words, Rosetta Stone has created a template for language learning, and they apply that template to each different language. So whether you're learning Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, French, German, or Mandarin Chinese, the template is going to be the same. The only thing that changes is the actual language. To a stockholder, that means dollar signs. That means riches. But to a student, that means a very, very bad experience. Because the most effective curriculum for Spanish students is not the most effective curriculum for students wanting to learn Mandarin Chinese. So in essence, Rosetta Stone is one giant templated system. They replicate the language material across multiple languages, which means a larger consumer base and more opportunities to generate revenue. All of this regardless of whether or not the user or the student is having a great experience in learning how to speak the language. And finally, reason number one that I do not recommend Rosetta Stone is that Rosetta Stone lacks a focus on grammar. Imagine a group of people attempting to cross a wide canyon, and they need to get from one side of the canyon to the other. Some of the people have materials, tools, instructions on how to build the bridge, and others don't. Rosetta Stone essentially sets up their students for failure right at the beginning because their courses don't provide students with those materials, tools, and instructions that are necessary when building a bridge to Spanish fluency. So it's absolutely crucial that beginner students be given a pathway to success from the beginning. And one of those steps, one of those tools, is a clear understanding of grammar principles and how, most importantly, and how subjects and verbs interact with each other. This is what I refer to as the foundation of the Spanish language, the interaction between the subject and the verb in a sentence. And if the student does not build a solid bridge or a solid understanding of this basic foundation, that student's chances of success learning to speak Spanish are virtually zero. I hope you've enjoyed this video and found the information useful. If you're interested in learning more, feel free to visit my website at www.espanishteacher.com. Thanks and good luck speaking Spanish.